Okay, so in yesterday's chapter, we left on a cliffhanger with Tommy going to the dance with Kellen, and he still didn't know what he was going to do, if he was going to ask Sarah to dance with him or not risk the embarrassment and just not ask her to dance. But he kept saying it was bigger than that. It's also, if he chooses not to ask her, it's almost like he doesn't believe in Dwight and he's choosing Harvey over Dwight. So it has bigger consequences. All right, let's see. What Happened Next by Tommy. I just got back from the dance. It's late, but I've got to write it all down right now. So Kellen's mom dropped us off and we went in. Kellen and I headed for the stage. Harvey was there, of course, but I didn't see the rest of the usual stage sitters. I looked out in the crowd of dancers for Sarah. Yep, there she was. I had actually been hoping she wouldn't come and I could duck the whole crazy mess. Now that I was looking at her, I didn't think I could ask. It's one thing when Origami Yoda tells you not to ask a girl to dance at the PTA fun night, so you just sit there and don't do anything and you can see if he was right or not. But it's another thing when Yoda says you should ask a girl to dance and you actually have to go do it. That's not so easy. And it's even harder when there's another Origami Yoda, who admittedly sounds a lot more like Yoda, telling you that the girl hates you and laughs at you. But it's hardest of all when you're standing there at the dance with some kind of terrible music blaring and a bunch of kids are jumping around in the middle of the cafeteria and you're leaning against the stage with a bunch of guys who have always been lurkers and have never asked a girl to dance and don't know how to dance, and there's Sarah bopping around with her friends, thank goodness not with any boys, and she's the cutest girl in the whole cafeteria. Here's the flyer. By a million miles. And to do this, you're going to have to walk out there and ask her in front of her friends and with your friends all watching from the side. Was I really going to do all that just because a guy with a paper finger puppet said so? I decided not to do it. Then there was a break in the music and Sarah and her friends were just standing out there talking. Maybe I would go, I thought. Then the music started again, and I thought I'd better wait. Go do it, said Kellen. To your doom you go, said Harvey's Yoda. But go you must. I decided to stall. Where's Dwight? I want to check with him one more time before I do it. I don't know where Dwight is, said Kellen, but check out the snack bar. We looked over at the snack bar. Lance and Amy were standing there talking and sort of bopping along with the music. And look at that, Kellen pointed toward the center of the gym. It's Cavando and Cassie dancing. The world's gone mad, gasped Harvey. Look at the stage, man, said Kellen. It's empty except for us. We're the only ones left. Even Mike is dancing. I looked where he was pointing. With Hannah? How did that happen? What happened to her giant boyfriend? Was it possible? Could Origami Yoda have changed life as we knew it? And then came an event even stranger. An event no human could have ever predicted. The crowd of dancers sort of parted. And there in the middle of it all was Dwight dancing with a girl. It was Caroline, the broken pencil girl. What the heck? Said Carvey, Kellen, and I all at the same time. As you can guess, Dwight was a terrible dancer. But that didn't seem to matter to Caroline. They were both having a great time. Has she gone crazy? Harvey sneered. But I knew she wasn't crazy. Suddenly, things were starting to make sense. No, I said. Don't you get it? It was Origami Yoda. This was his plan. What plan? Said Harvey. Origami Yoda knew that if Dwight got beat up fighting Zach Martin in Caroline's honor, that she would fall in love with him. Dwight must have taken Origami's advice for once. That was his advice. That was his advice? To get beat up by a gorilla? Great advice, said Harvey. But it worked, said Kellen. Man, this was blowing my mind. Whose idea was it to have Dwight fight Zach? Yoda's or Dwight's? Or were they the same? Then that made me think of something even more mind-blowing. Are you ready for this? Okay, here it is. What if this whole Yoda thing was just a hoax by Dwight to get attention? Sure, it made him look stupid at times, but as Kellen said, it worked. Not only had he gotten attention from us and a lot of other kids who normally ignored him, he had actually gotten a girl to dance with him and maybe even be his girlfriend. That's something anyone would have said was impossible. But if it was a hoax, then it was a totally genius hoax. And how could he have known it would work without Origami Yoda telling him it would? And of course, if Origami Yoda did tell him, then it wasn't a hoax after all. Now I was totally confused. The song ended and Dwight and Caroline came over to where we were standing. They were holding hands. Well, asked Dwight, have you asked her yet? For once, he wasn't acting insane or saying purple or being weird, but I wished he hadn't brought up that subject again. I was hoping everyone would forget about me asking Sarah. I was thinking about waiting for the next fun night, I said. Dwight let go of Caroline's hand. He reached into his pocket and pulled out Origami Yoda. Still, do you not believe? Said Origami Yoda, shaking his little paper head sadly from side to side. Not believe? I hated to say that I did not believe, but everything that has ever happened to me in my life involving girls suggested that Harvey's Yoda was right and that Sarah was going to say no in front of everybody, and everybody was going to laugh at me. Harvey would be laughing hardest and wouldn't stop for about 20 years. Plus, if it was all a hoax, then why should I listen to Yoda at all? Maybe Dwight just wanted to laugh at me, too. But somehow I didn't think it was a trick. Look at how many people had listened to Origami Yoda's advice and were now actually having fun at a fun night. Somehow, having fun at a fun night seemed even more impossible than a magic finger puppet. Maybe I was being stupid, but I did believe. Something was going on here that was bigger than a hoax, and I wanted to be part of it, whether it was magic or luck or the Force or whatever. And I decided that even if Sarah said no, I'd rather be on Dwight's side than Harvey's. Dwight is weird, but I guess I've started to like him, and I hated to let him down. Somehow, I didn't mind letting Harvey down at all. I'm going to do it, I said. Now, I mean. I'm going to ask her right now. Harvey laughed, but Dwight gave me a big smile. And it almost looked like Origami Yoda did, too. I'm nervous. You're really going to do it? Dwight asked. Yes, I said. Good. Then let me tell you something, Tommy, Dwight said, and then he whispered in my ear. Yoda didn't need the Force for this one. Yoda knows because Sarah asked him about you a week ago. She wanted to know if you liked her as much as she likes you. What did you tell her? He whispered back. Well, Yoda told her to come to this dance and find out. I looked up. Sarah was looking at me and Dwight. She smiled at me. Holy Jabba the Hutt. I didn't have time to think much about what all this meant as far as Yoda being real or not real. I hopped off the stage and I started walking towards Sarah. It was like a dream. Everything was perfect. It was finally going to happen. Just one little problem, said Harvey. You don't know how to dance. I froze. He was right. Ha ha! You idiot. You spent all this time worrying about whether to ask her or not, and you never even thought of what would happen if she did say yes. What a... I looked over at Dwight in desperation. He held up Origami Yoda. The Force. Always may it be with you. Just then, a booming voice rang out over the loudspeakers. Come on, everybody. Let's do the twist. Remember, that's the song that Dwight was saying, or Yoda was saying, and Sarah played it with her grandmother. When the song started playing, most of the kids at the dance looked around like something smelled bad. They had no idea what it was. They had never heard of the twist. I'm not even sure they realized it was music. They sure didn't know how to dance to it. But we did. Before I knew it, we were all doing the twist. Dwight and Caroline and Cassie and Cavando, Lance and Amy, Mike and Hannah, even Rondella and Kellen. Rondella and Kellen! Can you believe it? And without me ever having to ask her, Sarah and I were together wiggling our knees and trying to do the twist while holding hands, which isn't easy, and laughing our heads off. Harvey's comment. No comment. Slap! That's a good chapter. Sometimes books don't end in a way that you feel good at the end, but that one does, right? Look at this last picture. Oh, cute Yoda. Man, whew, I love it, I love it, I love it. For today's response, I want you to give an opinion about the ending of Origami Yoda. Just come up with a word that you think describes the ending and then argue that. So my opinion for the ending is I think the ending of Origami Yoda is exciting. And then I'll give evidence proving that I think it's exciting. But maybe you came up with funny or heartwarming. Whatever you think, use that word and then describe it. You can use my word, you can use exciting, whatever works for you. I hope you really enjoyed this book. I loved it. It was a really fun book to read. And, there's a bunch of books in the sequel. There's a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth in the series, So if you want one of the Origami Yoda books, most of them are on Epic. So if you search it up, search Origami Yoda, and the Darth paper is number 2. And that's a book you can absolutely read in independent reading. Man, I hope you enjoyed it. I got to do a little dance for the end of a book. All right. Adios.